Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Are Marvel movies good stories? I don't think I can fully answer that question in one video, but today I'd like to look at one specific scene from one specific movie to kind of illustrate what I think they do well and not so well. Now, in my opinion, the Marvel movies have ranged from spectacular to boring. I'm looking at you, Iron Man 3.
You're gonna come at me like that?
I do think that any art, good or bad, is enjoyed because of the effect it has on you emotionally. Spider-Man Homecoming, for me, makes a case for being a top 5 Marvel movie. I absolutely enjoy it. But there is one scene that I wish was a little different. I'd boil down the heart of the movie to this. Peter wants to impress his new surrogate father figure in Tony Stark. Their relationship is really at the core of this whole movie. And in fact, I think it's brilliantly summed up in just one exchange of dialogue.
I just wanted to be like you.
And I wanted you to be better.
This whole scene, I think, is the crux of the movie. It's all about Peter discovering what it means to be a hero, what it means to be responsible. Now, if only there was some phrase, some motto, something that could define Spider-Man for decades to come.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Yeah, okay, I guess that works almost as well. I think the movie is really well composed, and it solidly hits its themes throughout. Really, the thing that bothers me comes from a single scene towards the end of the movie. And just in case, from here on out, spoilers. Alright, the scene I want to talk about comes towards the end of the movie, pretty much the beginning of the third act. Peter has confronted the Vulture, and the Vulture has collapsed a roof on top of him, trapping him under a bunch of rubble. And then the Vulture is going to go off and steal a bunch of Avengers stuff from Tony Stark. The stakes aren't insignificant here. Peter's trapped under some rubble, and if he doesn't get out, he's probably going to die. The Vulture is off stealing a bunch of dangerous weapons and might sell them to a bunch of dangerous people. Things are grim, but I remember watching this the first time and just thinking something doesn't feel totally right. And then it hit me. The fact that they were homaging a specific scene from the Spider-Man comics. Amazing Spider-Man number 33. So just looking at the cover, we can see the similarity. It's ominously titled The Final Chapter. A quick little backstory and the key to why I feel like this scene is much better in the comics. Here we have a dying Aunt May. She's a victim of the effects of radioactivity in her bloodstream. Kurt Connors, and future villain, but for now close friend of Spider-Man, has told him of a serum that might save Aunt May's life. He tracks it down to Dr. Octopus, who he battles. Spider-Man seems to have won, but Doc Ock escapes and collapses the roof on top of him. And here's where the comparison really begins. Peter is trapped. He's failed his dying aunt. The fallen steel is just too heavy. Even with all his amazing strength, he can't get out. And the serum? It's waiting there, tantalizingly out of reach. Peter is beaten down from his fight, exhausted, and almost gives in. But then he starts thinking about his aunt. He believes his aunt is dying because of his radioactivity. And then he remembers his uncle, who he believes died because of his own selfishness. In his own words, he's gonna let down the two people in all the world who've been the kindest to me. With them in his heart, he summons every ounce of his strength and then some. As the pressure and weight builds on top of him, he fights to stay conscious. He fights to escape. Fights to save his aunt from a tragic death. He can't fail because it's not about him. It's about someone else. So even if that means he's gonna die, he's gonna give it more than everything he has. And even when he's past his limits, he finds a way to go even further and does it. He gets out, gets free, and exhausted from his fight, he has to make his way through more goons just to get the serum back to Aunt May. I'll admit the comic is a little cheesy by today's standards, but the stakes are incredible without any world-ending threat or giant laser beam in the sky. It's just a man fighting to save his dying mother figure, even if he'll die in the process. Alright, so let's look at the scene in the movie. Now, again, I think it's pretty good. I mean, the scream that Tom Holland lets out just, sends shivers down my spine every time I hear it. Now, like I said before, I don't think it's bad. In fact, it's kind of okay. And it's effective in the movie. It reiterates the theme. You have the moment where you can hear that Tony Stark line again, and then Peter finally summons the strength to get out and save himself.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
So it's not bad, but knowing what it's homaging, knowing the place that that scene has in comic book history, makes you kind of wonder if it could be better. I mean, his motivations, besides not dying and, letting the Vulture do some crimes, are, oh no, someone's stealing Mr. Stark's stuff, I better go stop him. Like, doesn't really hold up compared to, my aunt is dying, it's my fault, and I'm the only one who can save her. I think this scene illustrates that Marvel movies are well crafted. They do know how to sell a moment, but they also kind of play it safe. I never really feel tension. I never am scared for the heroes. Their motivations are human, but only human enough to not make a child in the audience cry. And while that's okay, and I enjoy the films, to quote Homecoming,
And I wanted you to be better.
Anyway, these are just my pompous thoughts on a scene I've probably thought way too much about. I want to ask you guys, do you think Marvel movies are art? Or do you think they're just entertainment? Do you think I'm right or wrong? Either way, let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion on this and see what everyone else thinks. If you like this video, I'm hoping to put out one every week, so go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be able to be updated when I do release a new one. And until then, stay safe and let yourself dream a little.